So hello gamers and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about one of the biggest questions that I've been asked many times, which is about burst and automatic guns, because there are burst guns and automatic guns that are very similar, but which ones should you use? We're going to be talking about a few different pairings of two guns that are very similar, but one of them is a burst and the other one is an automatic gun. Our first is two assault rifles that are similar rank, similar damage, same RPM, but have a little bit different upsides and downsides. It's the an94 versus the scarl. Let me just put like regular setups on these. Basically, the an94 is a gun that does 32 to 24 and has 600 RPM, but the scarl does 33 to 25 and has 625 RPM. I'm sorry, it's not exactly the same, but it's very similar. These are similar in rank, similar in hits to kill, and similar in use. However, one of them has a burst, which is the defining feature of the an94, is it has a 1800 RPM burst, a very fast two-shot burst. Another thing the an94 has over the scarl is a lot more penetration with super armor piercing. It has 3 studs instead of scarl's default 1, or with armor piercing 1.5, because 5.45 guns can have super armor piercing, and I do recommend it on this gun, although the damage ranges are kind of but it's basically a 4-shot all ranges. So here's the gun. It has less recoil and it has this incredible burst at the beginning, which is really helpful sometimes, but less overall RPM and less overall damage. So yeah, of the two, I don't really know which one I would rather you use, because scarl on the other hand has more RPM, similar recoil but a little bit more I believe, but it can 4-shot kill all ranges and does more CQC damage, and has the advantage of 9mm conversion, which is a very good CQC conversion, but we won't talk about that in this video because it kind of makes them too different to really compare. But this gun, as you can see, it shoots a bit faster. It kind of feels like it shoots slower, but it actually shoots faster, but it doesn't have the burst at the beginning. Also, 7.62 on an94 is interesting, but not that similar. I will tell you, 7.62 on an94 is very good because it can 2-hit head, and that means it can basically insta-kill. If you watch Tips and Tricks Part 3, you know that. But yeah, of the two, I might say scarl is better for newer players, but an94 has the lower recoil. If you prefer lower recoil overall, a low-ranked player isn't going to really care about the burst or anything, and also you don't have to press V every single time you spawn in with a scarl. It's really up to the player for these. I feel like they're very well balanced, but overall, I might say scarl is better because 4-shot kill all ranges, higher automatic RPM, don't have to press V every single time. an94 is also very good. Like, don't get me wrong, they're both great, but I'd say scarl is probably, even in my opinion, better. I have more kills on the an94, and I probably use the an94 more, but scarl, dude, there's something about it. Our next pair up is the highest rank assault rifle versus the highest ranked DMR. These guns are somewhat similar in how they function, which is the scarr SSR versus g11k2. We'll start off with the g11. The g11 is a very high RPM burst gun that can have automatic mode, but keep in mind, automatic on this gun sucks. This is the RPM. The recoil sucks, it's very uncontrollable. The damage isn't even very good on this gun unless you hit 3 torsos or 3 heads. Here's the thing, the scarr SSR can do 96 damage to the torso, so almost can torso kill in CQC to a very far range. However, this gun can 3-shot torso in CQC to 90 studs, and the basically instant burst means that it basically torso kills up close. And this has more bursts and more ammo overall by a lot, and it can headshot kill all ranges with 3 shots, versus the scarr SSR, which can almost do that, and 1-shot headshot very far. So here's the thing, it's either you have direct damage for 1 shot, or you have overall damage between 3. That's the biggest thing here. Also, scarr SSR has like a faster reload and stuff, but way smaller magazine. This is basically a 15-round magazine because 3-round burst is basically, like, with how this works, a 1-shot. So then you have the scarr SSR. This does way more overall damage. It can also do like 80 damage torso all ranges, which is actually more than the g11. And overall, it does way more damage with 1 shot, obviously. But here's the problem, right? It doesn't actually do as much damage if all 3 shots on the g11 hit. But that's the thing, like, you want more damage overall per shot, or do you want 3 bullets that do more damage overall? That's the big pair up here. Scarr SSR, I believe, has more velocity and penetration. This is also a way lower rank, even though they're both the highest rank guns in their class. DMR is a very underused class, and the highest rank one is about rank 88, which is of course this one. And yeah, I mean, it does depend for each person, obviously, but yes, it doesn't do the same damage overall, but you don't gotta worry about the burst hitting, and it's gonna be a little bit more easy to use. As you can see, it shoots very fast as well, about the same speed as the g11 burst, although maybe a little bit faster. G11 does have a burst delay, so you can't shoot it super fast. You used to be able to do that, but it was very broken, but had a lot of recoil. So as you can see, like, 1-shot headshot, very easy. And yeah, these are definitely really balanced guns. Once again, it's not really like something that you can just objectively say which is better, but overall, I would say that due to the ability to torso kill up close, the g11 is probably better. Once again, it is really up to you. However, it is worth mentioning that the g11 doesn't actually have very good velocity, 2200, but the scarr SSR has 3000, which is very good. So yeah, it is once again up to you, but I would say that the g11 is, in my opinion, better. But next up, we have two assault rifles, statistically kind of different guns, but models are very similar. So you have m16a3 and m16a4. I'll be running the best setups on each of these. That means 25-45 on one and 223 on the other. We'll start it off with a good old automatic m16a3, which is a 4 to a 6 shot. Yes, technically it is more damage, but let's be real, everybody uses 223 on this. We may as well just like pretend that it just starts with 223 because that's all anybody uses on it, which is understandable because 223 is a very good ammo type on it. So it's a 4 to a 6 shot, so 30 to 19 damage. Not amazing damage, only 800 RPM, which is pretty good but not amazing. Keep in mind the damage, the RPM, and things like damage ranges and velocity, because that is actually pretty important, because actually the m16a4 is basically better at every single one of those. It has a worse max range but can 3-hit kill, has a better headshot multi, has better velocity and pen with 25-45, 100 more RPM, the same reload time, better min damage range, and overall it's a better gun. It can 2-hit head and 3-shot anywhere, which the m16a3 cannot even hope to do, especially with 223. Like, it couldn't do that even without 223, which 223 lowers damage. This gun does way more damage, but here's the problem. It does burst. In the time that it bursts, it fires faster, but obviously it's a burst, so it's not actually going to fire super fast. Also, the recoil is pretty much overall lower, and 25-45 is basically an objective upgrade on it. Bursts don't dump mags at all. Like, they just shoot forever. Like, it's impossible to, like, run out of bullets on a burst a lot of the time when you're fighting somebody in CQC, whereas, like, an automatic gun, you just might waste all your bullets. Like, I shot 6 bullets there, and I was out of there. Like, it's really hard to, like, dump a mag unless you're hyper bursting, but we'll get into that. Oh my gosh, what? So yeah, higher damage, better performance, better RPM, better headshot multi. So why would I say the m16a3 is actually overall better? It's just easy to use. A burst, especially this burst, is very difficult to use, and objectively speaking, it is better. However, most players are going to do a lot better with the m16a3, but I would say if you are a better player, m16a4 is way better. So yeah, m16a4 objectively speaking is better, but m16a3 is an automatic that's just easy to use. So I would say that overall, most people would probably want to use the m16a3. Our next two are very similar guns as well. Both of them are carbines, and it's the M4A1 versus the M4. On both of these, I'm running exactly the same attachments, except on the M4, I will be running muzzle brake. Due to how bursts work, muzzle brake is actually better. It's like one of the few guns that I will use muzzle brake on is the burst guns, but basically, this is a 780 RPM, very fast carbine with decent CQC damage. 25-45 is very worth it on this gun. That's why I'm using both with 25-45. Yeah, they have smaller magazines, but better overall performance in literally every single way. 25-45, if you didn't know, basically gives you faster reload, more headshot damage, better ranges, better velocity, better pen, and the only downside is a smaller magazine. It's very worth it to use 25-45, except on m16a3 because 2-3 is better. But yeah, as you can see, this is a very good gun, and the best part about it is it's rank 0. You can get this right off the bat, and it's just so good. Honestly, I'd probably recommend it over nearly every starter gun, excluding like MP5K10 and maybe Colt LMG, but this is probably the easiest to use of all of them because fast movement, fast reload, very good with attachments. So it does 34 to 19. The M4 does 35 to 19, has a better default headshot multi, has a better max damage range, same pen, same velocity, similar min damage range, and it shoots at 950 RPM instead of 780, so way more RPM. You might be thinking, it's a direct upgrade, right? Actually, I probably wouldn't even recommend using the M4 at all. Here's the thing about it, like, it's a good gun. It might have less burst delay than the M16a4, but overall, it just performs worse in every single way to the m16a4. However, the M4A1 is its own thing. The m16a3 is not similar to the M4A1, like it kind of is, but it's pretty different. So that's why I wouldn't use the M4. I would actually use the M4A1 over the M4 simply based off of the fact that there's an objectively better gun than the M4 already in existence. So the M4A1, there's no objective upgrade. You could say things like AKU-12 are technically better and stuff, and old Beowulf ECR-556 was, but yeah, there's no just gun that just does it better. And this does have some nice upsides over the m16a4, like more RPM, and yeah, it's not a terrible gun, definitely. Honestly, I probably like it more than the m16a4 because it just fires a little bit faster and stuff, but 19 minimum damage versus 22 min damage, worse velocity, worse pen. This gun is good, and it does have a full stock, but yeah, the only reason I wouldn't use the M4 is because M16A4, it just exists. M4 is not bad though, so you could use it. It is better than the M4A1 technically, but M4A1 is just easier to use and stuff. Same concept as M16A3 and 4, except the M4 is just kind of worse than the M16A4. For our last discussion of this video, let's talk about basically every AK-12 variant. These guns start with 700 RPM, however, they can burst in 1000 RPM, and I think get lower recoil, but that might just be other guns, but let's see. Here's the problem, they actually have a delay now. Before, these were just easy to use, however, they actually require a little bit more skill now. This is the only time I can say when something is objectively better, and if you're going to use an AK-12 variant, you gotta use it on burst, unless you're not good with it, and then you can use it on auto, but in auto, these guns are pretty Like, AK-12 BR is okay. AK-12 is obviously really good, same with RPK-12, but they are not really used to their full potential unless you get them in the 1000 RPM burst. and I just can't use the 1000 RPM burst. That's the problem. I used to be able to, and it was fine. The only one I used was like the PPK-12 and the AK-12BR before it got nerfed. Can't use these burst guns anymore. I don't know. They added delay to them. You can't really use them like perfectly anymore. I just can't do them, dude. It sucks. Maybe I'll put the time in, but I don't really feel like it. I don't really use AK-12 variants, but I can let you know that it is objectively better to be using them on burst if you're good. And I'm just not good, I guess. But anyways, that is burst versus autos. Obviously, there are some other burst guns. This just about covers it, though. Another interesting thing is certain things like the FAMAS F1 have bursts that actually lower recoil a little bit. So if you're pretty good at bursting, then use these guns on burst, and you will get lower recoil, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I hope this is a comprehensive guide on some of the burst weapons in this game. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and sub. Let's go for 1,000 likes, and maybe I'll talk about like semi-auto versus full auto. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.